Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Scholar Chit Chat. Today I'm your host OJ, and we have a special guest who will be sharing with us steps or tips to securing funding to study in Saudi Arabia. So please help join me. Welcome Shafiq to the show. Welcome Shafiq. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, OJ. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and hopefully, I'll be able to share valuable insights for prospective students wishing to study in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Awesome, thank you. I believe that we're going to learn a lot. So before we actually dive into like talking about actually studying in Saudi Arabia, could you please kind of introduce yourself so that the audience can get to know you a bit more, your background, your journey, academic journey?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, my name is Shafiq Abbas, like you rightly said. I'm currently in Ireland at the University of Galway. I transitioned from the US just a few months ago. I'm a PhD student in economics, and my academic background, I had my undergraduate studies in Turkey, in Istanbul, after which I came to Ghana, spent 1 year. I'm sure I would answer a question related to that maybe later on. Or, yeah. After that, I went for my master's in Saudi Arabia. That was in 2022. And after graduating with a master's in applied statistics, I went to the US, stayed for 1 year, and then moved here to Galway.
Yeah, you're a global nomad. Pretty much been
Nomad
everywhere.
indeed, yeah.
Where are you originally from, actually, if you don't mind my
Oh,
accent?
I forgot to mention that. So, okay, yeah, I'm Ghanaian. I'm from Ghana originally. Yeah.
Okay, so I think your story, your journey has been very, very intriguing. So I'm sure that a lot
Yeah.
of questions are going to come out of all your trips around the world. Yeah, first off, I think I'd like to ask about how you got to hear about studying Saudi Arabia. What piqued your interest? Yeah.
Yes. So today is Saudi Arabia. Yeah. I'll be more than happy to jump into any call later on, maybe for other countries as well, if it's possible.
Yes,
Yeah,
please. We
so
would very much like that.
oh, okay, thank you very much. There is a little background story, maybe a little sad story to that. So I mentioned I did my undergrad in Turkey, right? And after that, I actually secured funding to continue my master's in Turkey and also in Italy. But then I had spent almost close to 6 years in Turkey.
Mm.
I haven't seen my mother, so I decided to go back home and then prepare and go to Italy, also on a fully funded scholarship. But then when I got to Ghana, things went south. My visa was denied in spite of the fact that I had a fully funded offer. I still don't know the reason. So I went into a period of, I don't know if I should say depression for a while, because it hit me really hard. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't think of any other reason than to associate it with the fact that maybe because of where I studied my undergrad, or maybe because of my ethnic or religious background. So it just made me a little, I don't know whether it was immature or just emotional. So I got kind of a little bit mad at the West. I said, okay, the West is not the only location to seek scholarship and education. So I started looking at the East. I looked at Japan, China, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain. And then I found this amazing university in Saudi Arabia. Actually, I found two universities that were doing things I wanted to do. Their research, funding, everything was just superb. So that's when my intrigue about studying in Saudi Arabia really started. That was in 2021, around July to say November. So I don't know if that answers your question. Maybe the other
Yeah,
question.
no, it does. I mean, I'm quite, yeah, I can only imagine how I get heartbreaking and kind
Yeah,
of shattering. That's like having your visa denied when everything had lined up. Because I can imagine that you've put in a lot of work to get
exactly.
offers, and you've
Yes.
probably turned down the one from Turkey because you said you had one in Turkey and then you had one in
Exactly,
Italy.
yes, I did. But then I had spent over 5 years in Turkey. I don't know, there was a time I even felt like my Turkish was better than my English. I was so Turkish. I wanted to explore other places. So I respectfully declined that, only
Yeah.
to be denied a visa to study in Italy. So it was really shattering, yeah, like you said.
Anyway, like I'm happy that you were able to kind of not
Yes,
while I mean, of course, being mad at the West, that makes sense. But like you were able to kind of redirect your attention and be like, okay, if you guys don't want to have me, there are people who would want to have me. Let's look at this other
exactly.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I think there's something for people to learn there. So you said that you found two universities. So is that like how the process of studying in Saudi Arabia starts? Like if you want to get funding, do you start by maybe like locating universities, or generally what's the process like? How
So
do you start?
that's one interesting fact about Saudi Arabia. I really hope people would pay attention to this. Saudi Arabia, most of the admissions we get come automatically with funding. That's one
Oh,
special thing about it. They admit you with funding automatically. So what now they've even centralized the system where you can find all the universities and apply it in that centralized system. So you just have to select a program and the university you are interested in applying to. But there are still other universities that have personalized application systems, like my university, Kimfad University of Petroleum and Minerals. They have their own application page. And the other
mhm.
university I was planning to attend, that was actually my first, by the way. It's called King Saud University. They are part of the centralized system, but they also have their own personal web pages where you can apply to. So it's mildly, I think it's really straightforward compared to other maybe scholarship opportunities that we know, the household names maybe.
Yeah, okay, okay. So essentially, I think that's really good actually. As you said, it makes it very, very easy. There's just like one portal you apply, and
Exactly.
then if admission comes with funding, like it makes life very, very, very easy.
Very easy, seamless. Yeah, it
So
does.
that means there's no option of studying without scholarship.
There is the option in the centralized system for that. If you get admitted, it's curated by the government. So for that, is automatically you get scholarship. But the ones that have their own personal ones, they have separate programs that cannot be found in the specialized portal. So when you apply to that, you either pay your fees or you get funded by the university. So that's the other part of it.
Oh, okay. So roughly how much, I guess, in terms of like a central currency, like in USD, how
Dollar.
much
Okay.
does it normally cost sort of to study in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I haven't met anyone who has studied without funding, but I have seen the numbers is quite high, especially for people like
Mm.
us who are from Sub-Saharan Africa. It
Yeah.
ranges from as little as 7,000, that's the least I've seen, to as high as I think $14,500, and that's
Oh,
just your
yes.
tuition.
Yeah.
Yeah, without taking into consideration accommodation and other living expenses. So it can be
Mhm.
quite expensive to
Yeah.
study in the kingdom without scholarship. So
Yeah.
I believe maybe 95% or maybe 100% of our listeners might be seekers of scholarships and not
Yeah.
paid opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe you're right. I believe you're right that most people
Yeah.
would actually be looking for funding and scholarships. So is it right? Am I right to assume that you were then able to study with the government funding?
Yes, you are absolutely right. But another perk of my studies in Saudi is that when you are given the government funding, it's really livable. It's very comfortable for you to live on that. But then there are, like I said, some universities have their personalized portals, and they have other relationship with corporate. So my university was actually founded because of the discovery in Saudi Arabia. And by the way, Nigerian engineers were the ones who trained Saudi engineers on how to drill, explore petroleum. So kudos to Nigeria. Nigeria has a very long history in Saudi Arabia, actually.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, one of the universities in Medina was actually built because of one of the past presidents of Nigeria. He said if they could build a university and then help Nigerians and other African students to come and study for free. But that's more of a religious program. They teach like theology and stuff. But
Oh, okay.
that's just a side. I just wanted to kudos to big up my Nigerian brothers and my second country, if I may. Yeah. So with
Yeah,
that,
our brother. Yeah, we accept. Thank you.
thank you too. Yeah, so with that, the government funding is around 900 reals, which let me see, you divide by 3.5, that's the dollar equivalent. It's fine to live with that in Saudi. But schools like what I just mentioned, my school, they also have collaborations with companies outside, like oil companies and finance companies. So they can even up your scholarship in exchange for teaching assistantship and stuff. So with mine, I got the government scholarship, and then because I was admitted into that university, they also gave me extra funding. So my funding was in total, it was like 3 to 4 times the usual government scholarship. And there are other universities that actually give more lucrative offers than
Well,
my university. So there are a wide range of different scholarship. But yes, to answer your question, yeah, your assumption is 100% true. I got in
wow.
with fully funded offer.
Well, I mean, when you were speaking, all that was running to my mind was, wow, oil money. Oil money is
Oil
normal.
money, yes, it's not a lie. Oil money day, really.
Because you're like, you got 3 times, 4 times what the base offer is. I'm like, what? That's really, really cool. That's money, man.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, Okay. Now I'm thinking maybe should I be in Saudi Arabia? I don't know.
Saudi can be a transitioning for people who, like undergrads who want to maybe, like it was a very smooth transition from my undergrad. I did my master's and I was hoping after I got mad at the West, when I came and settled, I count my nerves in Saudi Arabia. I started feeling okay with the West. So I transitioned back to US and now I'm in Ireland. It's a very good transition place and
Yeah.
it's a very good place to settle if you wish so, because like you said, oil money, if you decide to stay and work there,
Yeah.
you will not be thinking about taxes and stuff. They do not tax anything.
Yeah.
What you get is what
Mm,
you keep. So there are a lot of perks in studying or
mm.
living there, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it took my mind back to I met a lady from Saudi Arabia at a conference, and she was
Oh,
really selling the country. She was like, "You should come to our country." Like she was studying for a PhD in the UK, and she was like,
oh, okay.
you should come." And I was like, I don't even know you," but like she was so like selling the country. There are jobs for you. Blah, blah, blah. She was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, we
really.
love Nigerian nurses." That she has had kids, so she was like, "Oh, like we like Nigerian nurses to deliver our babies because they are really
Oh,
kind." And I was like, "Oh wow, okay."
amazing. Oh, yeah, really. They do have good job offers. The money there is really not a joke. Yeah. It's if you have skilled labor, those places are really good. I know we hear stories about how our brothers, especially our sisters, go through in the Gulf.
Yeah.
But most of that do with the unskilled, the blue-collar jobs, people. But with
Yeah.
skilled labor, your situation could be very, very different. And yeah, it's actually true. And by the way, just not Saudi, the Gulf is still on my radar. If you think
Oh,
about job
but you have
opportunities
plans
and
to go
stuff,
back.
exactly. Yeah, it's a very nice location to be, really.
All right. So now we've made people dream about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Mm,
How did they actually get there? So if you're going to start applying,
yeah.
how do you go about it? When okay, let me just start with a very simple question first.
Yeah.
When does the application cycle start? Like when should you be looking to apply?
Okay, the application usually opens between 1st of May and the 31st of October. So we are in September, right?
Yeah, we just started September.
Yes, exactly. So if people are still interested in looking at this location, they still have 2 months to send in their applications. And I do not think it's really difficult compared to other countries or other scholarship application procedures. So 2 months should be more than enough to submit a very strong application. Of course, if your referees are already aware and if 2 months would be a good enough time for them to craft your reference letters for you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
between May and October. And I should also add there are other universities that apart from this generalized application period, which can be found in the centralized portal. And the portal is studyinsaudi.moe.gov.sa. That's the portal.
Mhm.
But if you go to the university portal themselves, they can also offer other dates. For instance, my university has 2 application windows, both for fall and spring. So usually this application window, I suppose, is for fall admissions. So after 31st October, then they start reviewing. Maybe by March, April, you should hear from them if there should be any interviews or something. March, April, May, everything should be finalized. And by August, you should be traveling. But my university also opens another window. I think it's around November, December sorry. I think it's around the summer, May to July, actually, I think.
Okay.
Those who want to attend college in January in the spring semester. So some universities have 2 application windows. Both of them offer scholarships. Unlike maybe the US, most scholarships are awarded to fall intakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, both fall and spring intakes get the scholarships. Yeah,
So that's good. So that's at least the very first step that people can actually still apply now. And the
exactly.
process is not too complicated. So let's talk more about the process. What do you need to apply?
Yeah, so the basics, the general stuff, your transcript, your CV, your statement of purpose, recommendation letter is very important. These are the 4 most important documents. You would need an English test too, but there's a caveat to that.
Okay.
And I left Saudi in 2024. That was just last year, yeah. But things might have changed. But from what I know, my personal experience and anecdotal experiences from me and my friends, you would be given the option to submit an English test within 1 year of you being admitted. So this is
Okay.
very important and wonderful because I don't know if what I'm thinking is actually what they are thinking, like the reasoning behind it. But I feel like it's really good, especially for people who cannot afford an English test.
Yeah.
When you are admitted, the monthly stipend you can use it to register for a test, because they give you a window of 1 year to submit an English test. But if you have it, it's good to already submit and just get over it. So with me, when I was applying, I uploaded everything I had. I had my IELTS, I had TOEFL, sorry. I had my TOEFL and I had a GRE too, and I uploaded. But from what I know, it's not a strict requirement, especially the IELTS and the GRE for masters. For PhDs, the GRE is required, but that one too, they offer you, I think, a 6-month, like a 1 semester window to submit it. But these are all from what I experienced until last year. I don't know if things might have changed right now.
Yeah, I think you're really generous, and I think it makes sense. I think
Yeah,
what you said is probably their reasoning is probably it,
exactly.
because paying for all those tests and everything can actually be a barrier for a lot of people.
Exactly.
So
Crazy.
you don't want
Yeah.
to weed out people just because they can afford something as basic as an English
Exactly.
test.
Yes, your transcripts have said it. Your referees have told them you are qualified. Your statements have convinced them. Why should an English test be a hurdle for you? I don't think it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's really, again, I said, like, it's really generous. I think the provision makes sense, but sadly, you don't
Exactly.
always get that in a lot of places.
Exactly, unfortunately. Yeah. So yeah, the process, you create an account if when you go to the centralized portal, like I mentioned, studyinsaudi.moe.gov.sa. Create a portal and then you choose your program, the appropriate programs and maybe universities. And then you submit an application. And then I think your part should be done. For the centralized portal, what I know is they barely call for interviews. Your documents are enough to either qualify you or disqualify you. So
Wow, okay.
exactly, yeah. So you submit your admission and just wait for communication from them, either an acceptance or a rejection, hopefully an acceptance. And then they offer you fill a certain form. I don't know if I'm going way beyond the question you asked me.
Oh, please go ahead. No problem
Okay.
at all.
Okay. Yeah, so when you are given the offer, you accept or reject. I believe most of us would accept, of course, if a better offer doesn't come. So you
Yeah.
accept and then you'll be given a form to fill. And that form, the process is a bit different. So you fill the form and then they would give you, maybe after a week or two, you will receive a letter from the Ministry of, maybe the equivalence of their Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So you use that letter together with your admission letter and other documents and go to the embassy. That's the rest. The rest of the process will take place at the embassy. And one thing about the Saudi scholarship is it's comprehensive. All these things you are doing, you are going to be paid for. They'll pay you back like when you get there. So your flight ticket, when you are going for that, unfortunately, they will not buy it for you, but you'll be reimbursed. Of course, if you have your ticket, you do not misplace your ticket. So they give you settlement allowance and then flight ticket reimbursement. So it's, I think, about 4 times your monthly stipend.
Wow.
If you don't have money to do that, just try to convince your lenders that you are going to be reimbursed and you pay them. It's not an uncertain situation. It's very, very certain. Yeah.
Wow. The other thing, I think the more I keep it, the more I hear about this class, the cooler it just becomes, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, it can be cool, really. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's really nice. So you get reimbursed for the flight, and then you get a very generous. Like, I like the way most times you're always talking like 3 times, 4 times. I'm like, oh, I like this. I
Exactly.
like this.
Yeah. Yeah. If you add the flight tickets and then the settlement allowance is like I think it's beyond 4 times. It's 4 to 5 times. But the settlement allowance is structured to be at least twice your monthly stipend. So your first month you are going to get like I think 3 times your stipend, because your monthly stipend and then the settlement allowance. Yeah.
That's really generous, man.
Yeah. It is. It
Okay.
is.
So, but as well, I think I have a question about like the whole of the application process as well. So you've mentioned like the basic things, and I think this is called for this kind of applications. They are not asking for any weird thing, so that's nice.
Exactly.
Is there any application fee? Do you pay application fee for this process?
It's completely $0. It's
Nice.
zero, no application fee. Whoever tells you to submit an application fee is trying to dupe you. So I really highly advise prospective applicants to go to the official web pages of the universities or the centralized web page to apply. There's no application fee. The only thing that would be an expense is your energy and your time. No money expense.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. I think that's really, really nice actually. Applications where there's no kind of barrier. It's really
Exactly.
what we love to hear about, to be honest.
Yeah.
So you've walked us up to getting the offer, and then you mentioned going to the embassy. So what happens at the embassy?
Okay, so I don't know about other countries. For the Ghana embassy, when I took my documents there, they took them and they said they would give me a call. So after I think 3 to 4 days, I went there and then they asked me to pay for it's about is it $12 or $16? I don't remember. You pay some amount. It's supposed to be paid in Saudi. So if that's the tricky part, if you have someone in Saudi, will do it for you. Otherwise, you have to find a way. And maybe if you were in the West, it should be easy. But with Africa, especially people just finishing undergraduate, you don't have access to those credit cards and stuff. So it might be a bit
Mm.
tricky. But I hope prospective applicants would have a way, will find a way to pay. It's very small. It's like 16 point something dollars to get a certain code. And then you use that code to go and submit your visa application. The visa application doesn't happen at the embassy. That's for Ghana at least. They have this VFS. I'm sure maybe
Oh,
they have them
yeah.
too in other African countries. It's like a middleman for a lot of countries' applications. So you go there with your document and then all the letter from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, your application, your admission letter, and other important things, your passport picture, your passport, of course, most definitely.
Yeah.
You submit them to the embassy and then to the VFS, to the intermediary. And I don't know what goes on, but I suppose they would take your documents back to the embassy for visa stamping because they cannot stamp your visa. So it's kind of a long process. It's long in terms of the things you have to do, but not in terms of duration, because I think everything happened in about 1 month or a little over 1 month. So it shouldn't take you a long time to secure your visa. While at that, you still be communicating with the international office of your university in which you are admitted. So you let them know when you plan to arrive and stuff. They have staff that would receive you at the airport. And I don't know about other universities too. With my university, they reimbursed my taxi fare from the airport to the university. So like this scholarship is very great. It's one of the best scholarships. I really enjoyed it, really. Yeah, so basically that's it. I don't know if I skipped or didn't answer any question.
I think you've covered kind of like the process, which is
Mm,
really, really cool. Really, really cool to hear actually that
yeah,
people, I mean, they are very, very nice.
exactly.
Very, very nice. I think it cannot be nicer than that. I can't imagine that there's any scholarship that actually does more than this, to be honest, because I don't even know what I would say they could do better, to be honest. Kind of,
Seriously.
they've made it as
Yeah, but
easy
I'm
as
pretty sure there
possible.
might be others. But yeah, this is one of the top from
Mm.
my experience. This is definitely one of the top scholarships, really.
That's really, really great. Yeah, I guess listeners have and prospective applicants have kind of heard the process, heard all that up for offer,
Yeah,
and if they're like me, they're very, very interested in this. I mean, for me, I don't think I want to do another master's, but
yeah,
for people who are actually looking, I think this is a very, very good one to apply
exactly.
for. So I
Definitely.
think one thing that I'm sure will be on the mind of a lot of people listening is, okay,
Mm,
so how can I increase my chances? I want to assume
yeah,
it's competitive because I mean this is really good. So I'm sure quite a
yeah.
number of people will be applying for this. So how do I then stand out and how do I become the person that gets all these benefits?
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah. Maybe 5 years ago, when they started their Vision 2030, that was 2010, 2020, they had a 10-year strategic plan for the kingdom. I think most of the countries in the GCC, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, and Saudi Arabia, they all had this Vision 2030, which they started in 2020. So it's been 5 years now.
Yeah.
I think at that time it wouldn't have been very competitive, but now Saudi is a global player. All the Gulf countries, look at what they are doing in sports, bringing Cristiano Ronaldo and N'Golo Kante. So people know about the country now.
True.
So it's definitely very, very competitive now, but hopefully the students can still get in. What I would like to say about people, about considering is they are very, very heavy on your results, like your transcript. They are not, I don't know if you can help me with the right word. You know, US, they like to listen to your so sad story, like your background,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
poor, or they don't care. I think they really don't care about that. They
Okay.
want to see results, like
Yeah.
do well. Of course, when I say results, I don't mean first class, first class. No, they are second class, upper, even those at the threshold of second class, upper, even secure admissions. But if you haven't completed your undergrad degree, try as much as possible, or masters if you are aiming for PhD, try as much as possible to really improve upon your GA and your transcript. They are really
Mm.
heavy on that. And talking about they not caring about maybe your background, of course they might care, but maybe 10%.
Yeah.
Talking about that, it suffices to say that your SOP should really be heavy on research interest and what you want to do. Don't go about telling them about, like, it should be statement of purpose, like statement of research purpose, not personal statement. Don't
Okay.
put too much. You can personalize your SOP, of course, telling them why you wanted to do it, but you should really concentrate on, like, the reason why you are coming to study there, because there are other universities in the world that admit students, so they are good. Maybe let's say, like, for instance, nursing, you want to do some research related to patient care or something, reiterate on it. Really give it maybe a very strong paragraph, or at least or at most two paragraphs.
Yeah.
So that's what I can tell prospective applicants. Try to improve upon your GPA, and also your statement of purpose should be very research oriented.
Mm.
Yeah, these are the
Mm.
two things. And so you should direct that to your prospective recommendation letter writers, to let them know that they want to know really how exceptional you are in the lab, in the classroom, how much of a team player you are in terms of research, how rigorous you can work under pressure. Because really, sometimes the pressure can. All these I'm saying, I think I've kind of romanticized the scholarship a bit. I might have over
Yeah.
romanticized it, but really, it's not that all that easy. It can be very, very tough. Maybe another day, because my first semester I thought I was going to be kicked out. They don't joke, because they are giving you all these things. They don't expect you to be
Mm.
lazy around. Yeah, so they are heavy on academics and research. So my biggest advice is to tailor everything, all your applications. Even if you are going to, if you have money to write IELTS and TOEFL, on most of the portal they say they want at least 5.5. If you can get 7 and above, get it. Really, don't, because like I mentioned, you don't have any monetary responsibility in terms of application and stuff. Everything
Yeah.
is on your energy and your time. Use the energy wisely. Use it on the things they're really looking for. You can go to the website and check their research interest, the professors. When you go to the application area, they might not tell you all the things they are expecting you to write in the statement. But
Mm.
I'll really advise, because I've seen it. I know what they want. They want you to go straight to the point about what you want to do. Yeah. I don't
Mm.
know if.
Yeah, no, that was a very, very good response. Like it was
Yeah.
very, very detailed insider kind of expo into what they're expecting. And I think it was very nice that you kind of
Yeah.
compared it to the US, because obviously if someone is giving advice about the US, when you're
Yeah.
writing SOPs, like tell your life story. Don't just only
Exactly.
talk about your academics, include stuff extracurricular and all those type of things.
Exactly. Yes.
But yeah, you
It's
said
not
this
like that.
guys is
Yeah.
just talk about your book and your research and
Exactly.
show that you are brains and they are happy. Okay, so that's
Exactly, yeah. You are giving me money. This is what I'm giving you, because they want to be a world player. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about the amount of billions the United Arab Emirates is investing in AI and stuff. They know oil is going to be gone
yeah.
in a while. People are concentrated on data and all this technology, so they want researchers that would come and impact the Gulf and attract talented researchers to the place. So really talk about your research and how you can offer them something in return to this lucrative scholar.
Okay, that's really really nice to know. So essentially, yeah, I think from what you said, I can also kind of get that it's mostly for people with high grades. So you've mentioned it's not just first class, but it's also people with
Yes,
2-1, even at the
yes,
margin. So
yeah.
I suppose people with lower grades, like 2-2 and third class, there's not a lot of chances. Or are there things that they could do to improve? Like maybe if you wrote the GRE and you had it 2.
Exactly.
Or if you had, I don't know if work experience also counts for something. I don't know
Yes.
if you've seen people with lower grades who've kind of secured the scholarship and what they did.
Okay, yeah. So people with lower grades, I've seen just one person. It wasn't very low, but what I think really helped him was his work experience. There's one thing, you don't need to contact a supervisor, but I always advise, if the university doesn't say you shouldn't, explicitly says you shouldn't, try as much as possible to contact them, because they
Okay.
can really have a say in your admissions. So this friend of mine, I think he had a 2.2 or something, not 2.1. His grade wasn't very good, but he worked in a country, I think Liberia, I don't really remember it, but he worked in the mining industry for some years. And
Okay.
so he contacted this supervisor and told him about his work and the processes they do. And this supervisor received funding from Saudi Aramco, it's the world's biggest oil company.
Mm.
So when he told him about his interest in doing research because they wanted to explore some minerals in Saudi at that time. That was just 2 years ago. No, yeah, 2023, 2 years ago. So he talked to the supervisor and the supervisor was really intrigued. They had back and forth Zoom calls. And right now the guy is doing his PhD. He came as a master's student. He has finished his master's. He just started his PhD this semester.
Wow.
So yeah, there are ways around it. Your work experience and not just relevant work experience really, it can go a long way. And also, like you said, although some universities, I think most of the universities in Saudi even don't accept GRE. It's
Yes.
just a few universities like my university, and then to me, my university is currently the best in the Arab region. It's 67th. It's the only university in the top 70, but to me, it's still the second best because there's another university that is crazy. It was founded just 2010, but the research they are doing is crazy. King Abdullah University of Science and Tech.
Mhm.
Yeah, they
I think I've heard that university.
exactly, and the funding is crazy, more very competitive to top US university fundings. It's yeah, so to me they are the best. I don't know. So like they are the only two that I know accept GRE. So if your university doesn't even accept GRE, the one you are looking for, and you think you have a low GPA and you can afford it, I would suggest writing the GPA, the GRE, in case you don't have relevant work experience. Write it and try to score good grades. If you can have 155 and above in quantitative, it can boost you because. And again, communicate with researchers in your program and let them know. Probably maybe you were sick, there was something that happened, or you
Yeah.
lost a family member. Something can happen. Exams are not everything. You might be
Yeah.
brilliant in the work, the research itself. You might not be a good exam taker, or some circumstances might have caused you
Mm.
to have low grades. So there are ways around it. Work experience is definitely the first one, relevant work experience, and also GRE, like performing well in the GRE is another way to go around it. So it's not all gloomy for people with less than 2.1. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for at least sharing that hope. And
Yeah,
yeah, I think hopefully there are people who maybe get to meet more people with time
I hope so.
who
Yeah,
are able to take this advice and then apply even when they don't necessarily have the required grades and they are
exactly.
successful as well, hopefully. So, let's say, okay, you've kind of mentioned this. You mentioned that if you
Mm,
apply through the generalized platform, there are no interviews, so you just get a
yeah,
direct offer. But
yeah,
you're saying that means that if you apply to the school, because you
yeah.
mentioned the school also has your own kind of route, you can be invited for interviews.
Yes. So yeah, with the school, thankfully, or should I say, I think I don't know. Personally, I love interviews because I feel like sometimes when I apply, I'm not because like my school wanted just 500 word SOP. So I feel like sometimes I don't really tell them everything I need to. And I like
Yeah.
interview. But in this case, probably not having an interview was better. I don't know. So my time there was no interview. But from what I'm hearing from some of my friends, they've started doing interviews in my university. But most of the universities, like I said, in Saudi Arabia, is straightforward. Your grades, recommendations, they are your final pitch. You don't have any second chance to maybe tell them you are a good student or bad. The documents you upload are what would decide your admission or otherwise. But the few universities left, like King Abdullah University of Science and Tech, and then King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, I know for sure they do interviews, and their interviews too, yeah, it can be a bit tricky. Unlike the
Okay.
US, like I said, they are heavy on grades and also your research interest. They quiz you on both. Most US interviews are more about your research interest and what you've done in research and stuff. But these guys can go, let's say you are doing, what course should I ask? Maybe let's say you're applying for chemical engineering. They can go ahead and ask you what is thermodynamics. So be prepared to
Oh
to
wow.
yeah, be prepared to explain what thermodynamics and not the memorization because they are going to link it to a research question. Like
Yeah.
they can ask you theory questions. I'm not trying to scare you, but I just want you to because like I mentioned, I've romanticized the scholarship a lot. I want you to know that it's not that easy. They really
Yeah.
want you to deserve it.
Mm.
So they would ask you very theoretical questions in relation to research, of course. So be ready if you are invited invited for interview, just know that it's not a mere introduce yourself, what have you done in the past, what are your research. They can ask you very deep related questions like in your area. So you should definitely prepare. But you being invited to an interview on its own is a merit. It means you've reached somewhere. And don't let something you studied in first year or something. And yeah, that's one more thing. They will not ask you overly like difficult questions. They'll ask you questions that are fundamental to your area, where they expect that at least someone coming to do a master's or PhD should know. But you know how we study. We memorize, write our exam and forget.
Can't
So
forget
please
to.
don't forget to, yes, I'm begging you, because they will quiz you. They can ask you a question as simple as what's the derivative of 2x squared plus 3x. It's simple for most engineers, but maybe you memorize and wrote the exam, so you might be, and interview pressure to and anxiety might catch you off guard. So the interview is not your regular interview that just goes straight to the point. They can ask you academic questions. You should be prepared for that too.
Yeah, that's a very, 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 very good tip because yeah,
Yeah.
again, they are unique in that sense. Like again, that they are focused on your academics as
Yeah.
opposed to a lot of other people.
Yeah,
Interviews, not
exactly.
really. Nobody's quizzing you anything at that point. But yeah, so hopefully this is beneficial to people who are able to scale through the first hurdle, and if they have to face an interview, they know the way to prepare for the interview. And I like how you keep saying, "Oh, I've romanticized this scholarship a lot," but I mean, I feel like yeah, I feel like a lot
Yeah,
of people should know that yeah, you are going into work regardless of the scholarship. Like
exactly. Yes,
studying or being a student at
exactly.
advanced level is not easy anywhere,
Yeah,
regardless of how you got
education,
in, regardless of how
exactly.
much you are being paid. And I think the more you are being paid, the more is expected of you. So
Exactly, yeah. So just be ready. And if you're someone worrying too much about the interview, like I mentioned, the centralized period, just go there, pick a university. But to me, these two universities, I think they are really very cool. If you have a goal of going to the US, UK, Australia, and by the way, most people go transition to Australia from there, right? Yeah. But if you have a goal of transitioning and doing, or if you have a goal of going there, these countries, I think you should gun for these top universities. To me, they are the ones that can compete with the Harvards of the world, the Imperial Colleges of the world. I think one past president of Oxford is currently the president of in Saudi King Abdullah University of Tech. I'm not so sure, but one past president of the top schools. They are attracting great talent and they are doing very, very impressive research. The others are not bad, but I wouldn't say they are as rigorous as these two from my experience. So if you are
yeah.
someone worried about interview, you can also go for the easy part, the one that you just have to upload your documents and wait for acceptance or rejection. But I feel like that might be a very big gamble because your documents might not tell the whole story and you might need an interview to actually legitimize your qualification. So yeah.
I just realized that you're speaking that there's a very basic question I haven't asked. Do you only have to apply to one university or is there a cap on the number of universities you can apply to?
Yes, that's a very, very important question. I applied, at my time I applied to, I think, 4 universities. I don't think there is a cap. I might be wrong, but what I know for sure, if a university admits you, you will never receive multiple admissions in Saudi Arabia. I think everything is centralized. They know what happens across the universities. Because for me, I think in the beginning I mentioned that King Saud University was my first choice before I even went to King Fahd. I applied for, I think, quantitative analysis there. We had the interview, everything was smooth. I got feedback. The professors were really happy with my interview, but I think they delayed in sending me an application and admission letter. And then King Fahd University, I didn't have any interview with them. I didn't even expect them to send me any admission letter. Then they sent me admission letter, and I never heard from King Saudi again. There was another university, King, I don't remember the name. We didn't have an interview, but we communicated, and I think they were also interested in me. But when this university sent a letter, I didn't hear from them again. So I think in my second year, we were just discussing with my friends in Saudi, and I was like, these universities, till now I've not even heard from them, no rejection, nothing. And then that's when they told me that yes, if you get admission in one university in Saudi, you will not hear anything from other universities too.
If
So
you reject the first offer.
if you reject the first offer, then you've really shot yourself in the foot. You
Really?
wouldn't want to reject an offer when you haven't received other offers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, true.
So yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So yeah, if you get an offer, I think that's the final offer. I think that's the unfortunate side of it. I don't know if things have changed now, but when I was there, if you get an offer, that's the offer you are sticking with.
Oh, okay. So you don't get a choice.
Exactly, something like that. But again, the universities like maybe King Abdullah University, maybe because they are kind of semi-autonomous to the other universities, so they might have some power in sending you another offer. I don't know. This is just a
Yeah.
conjecture. Yeah, they might offer you
Mm,
separately in case you get another offer, you might choose. But from the centralized portal, I know if you get one offer, that's the offer you are going to stick with. Maybe someone can correct me. Maybe someone has other experiences where they got multiple offers. But for
multiple.
Saudi, I
Yeah.
know from what my friends and what I myself experienced is one offer and you are done. But yeah, you can apply to multiple universities. Just don't expect multiple offers.
Yes, okay. Yeah, okay, that's a good that's definitely good information to know.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, so we've been talking for a while. I guess we'll
Yeah.
be rounding up, and I'm trying to kind of take us away from actually the application process to other things that people consider when they are
Mhm.
looking at a country, for instance. So, one of the things that people consider is, oh, is there an opportunity to stay back after studies? So, if I go for a master's, is there like a post-study visa kind of thing?
Yeah.
How easy is it to get a job if I want to actually work in Saudi Arabia? So those are some
Mm.
considerations that people can have. Or
Definitely.
do you have to return to your home country when you are done?
Yeah, for Saudi, yes, there are some ways, and I think this year too, was it in March or April? They even brought out about several premium, they call them premium visas. I think they are pathways to permanent residency in Saudi. Like I mentioned earlier on, they are trying to really impose their presence in the world now, so they are changing a lot of things. But generally, you have just maybe three options.
Okay.
When you complete your degree, you have like I think a month or two to leave the country. So that's the first option. You leave the country immediately. Secondly, if you came for a master's, continue with a PhD. If you came for a PhD, maybe a postdoc or something. And thirdly, find a job before you complete. Previously, it wasn't very competitive, but now, again, it all has to do with the exposure. Sometimes
Yeah.
too much exposure is not good.
True.
So, yeah, it gets competitive. But I know firsthand, I call him my big brother. He's there after his master's. He's working. He's been working for 6, 7 years in Saudi. Very, very stable with his work. Yeah, so these are the three options that I know. Again, I said they are bringing some visa pathways to permanent residency, skilled premium visa and stuff. But they just announced it this year. I don't know even if it has started. But what I
Okay.
know, immediately after you leave or continue with your education or find a job. And from my experience, the easiest one is to continue with your education if you want to stay there. So if you came for a master's, it's much easier to get a PhD there, especially if you do well in your master's. It's almost like automatic that you do a PhD. You just have to go through application, but then it's kind of a formality because all the professors, everyone knows you. They know your
Yeah.
technique, they know your qualifications. So that's
Yeah.
the easiest part I know. So it's very
Okay.
kind of hard to find another way other than these three. And I think you mentioned about you asked another question related to that, or
No, I think you've answered it. Basically, was about like how easy it is to get a job if you have to
oh
leave immediately,
yeah.
or if you can stay back. So I think you've answered the questions. But I think another question I was going to ask as well regarding this issue of considering Saudi Arabia is how they accommodate dependents. So can you go there with
Oh
your
yeah.
family?
Yes.
Is the
I've
fund? I mean,
been
I assume the funding will be sufficient for the
yeah.
dependents.
Yeah, so with the usual government scholarship, I feel like it can be very tricky. There were some schools that were giving allowances to people with spouses and children, and they were even giving free education for people with children to up to I think middle school. But things
Mm,
have changed. I've heard stories that they've halted a lot of them. But
okay.
with my university and King Abdullah, that's why I'm always saying gun for that because they give apart from the government scholarship, they give other extra research scholarship, right? So with that money, I've seen a lot of not a lot. I've seen like three of my friends. We were in the same hostel, and they left the hostel because they had that scholarship, and they brought
Mm,
their dependents. Bringing your dependent is very easy, by the way. Of course,
okay.
if you can take care of them, it all depends on the money you have. But bringing them is not difficult because you're on a visa. So then the usual government scholarship might not be very lucrative to bring your spouse. But having said that, PhD students in my university are easily able to bring, because PhD funding is, I think, 2 times master's funding, so it's even way easier for them. And if you get a postdoc, is we shouldn't even go there. It's you. I think in 6 months you might be able to build a house in Nigeria. The money they get is crazy. Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah.
Are the spouses able to work, for instance, or not on the visa that they get?
Okay, for that, I don't have information. I don't know. I know
Okay.
some people work, but I don't know if it's legal work. So I don't have information on that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think one issue that kind of stands as a barrier for a lot of people is the fact that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is regarded as an Islamic country. So
Yes.
I think there's also some kind of, they will have like unique
Misconception.
regulations. I mean,
Okay.
not paying tax is a very good one that everybody welcomes.
Mm-hmm.
I truly don't know a lot about that, but
The
for
kingdom, right?
you, and also generally just for everybody, what are the kind of, I guess, culture shocks, and what
Mm.
are the things that you feel like people and misconceptions that people have? So they're
Yeah,
like, okay, one, this surprised me, I did not expect it coming from where, because I think a lot of our countries are quite liberal, no, not liberal, they're
exactly.
like mixed but religion, so they are not like
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So what was the culture shock, and then what was the misconception you had, or that people have about that is not necessarily the case?
Thank you very much. I think this is very important, very, very wonderful. I'm glad you brought it up, actually. There are so many misconceptions about the country, and also we should talk about the laws, definitely. When I got my admission, I told one of my friends, uncle, he was like, and he's a Muslim actually. I was like,
Yeah.
Saudi, you are going to study Islam or what? I said, no, I'm going to study statistics. He said, do they have, they didn't know, and there's someone who is even Muslim who should, I feel like
Yeah.
he should know some things about the country. So,
Yeah.
what about our Christian and non-Muslim brothers and sisters? So it's definitely a big misconception that studying in Saudi, you only go and study religion and stuff. They have a lot of engineering, liberal, humanities and social science programs over there. And like I mentioned earlier on, my university is ranked 67 ahead of Purdue University. Some of the big universities in US is ranked
Yeah.
ahead of them. Yeah, so they have a lot of a lot of programs to offer in Saudi Arabia. That's one misconception. Now going back to maybe the regulations and stuff. Yeah, we mentioned about non-taxation. Income tax is zero. I think it's recent that they brought VAT.
Mm-hmm.
But regarding the rules and regulations, yeah, it's just like any other country. If you are not a Muslim, you are not expected to go and cover yourself or something. But there are some basic requirements to public order and safety there. They expect you to wear, they call something modest clothing. So try to wear something that goes beyond your knees. At least it should cover your knees, both men and women. And men are not expected to go out. You can do that in your apartment building, but outside, public safety and security, that's what they call it. You are not expected to go with sleeveless, maybe a singlet outside for men. And to me, I don't think this is something that should prohibit or maybe discourage you from going. It's just like maybe going to Las Vegas or Spain or France. People wear sleeveless bikinis, and it's part of their culture. You respect it, right? You will not tell someone
Yeah.
wearing bikini not to wear bikini in France.
Yeah.
So it's the same way when you go to Saudi, and they also expect you to respect their, at least the most basic. To me, I think these are humane. These are not extreme requirements. Like I want you to wear a long sleeve and maybe a blouse, a skirt that goes beyond your knee. I'm not telling you to suffocate yourself or cover yourself in the hijab that you see. These are cultural. Those people there, they do it because of their religion and culture. That's how they've been raised, probably.
Yeah.
But someone coming into the country, they don't expect you to do that. If you do that, of course, maybe you'll be loved more. They might love you more, but they just have basic etiquette according to them that you should follow.
Yeah, okay. I think at least that's quite reassuring, or that will be reassuring for quite a number of people that, okay, you're not
Exactly.
expected to essentially kind of switch completely, but you can
Exactly.
kind of, if you are very extreme, you can shift to the middle and
Mm-hmm,
still
mm-hmm,
be very,
exactly.
very welcome.
Yeah, you can leave your hair freely too. You are not expected to cover your hair. If you are a woman and you want to leave your braids out, leave it. It's your choice. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think, as you said, I think it's reasonable. It's a reasonable kind of ask for that kind of thing. And I mean, you've already mentioned how like And I
Mm-hmm.
think I also kind of touched on it, how like they're very welcoming to people. You've mentioned that because they want to place themselves high
Exactly.
on the global space, they're
Yes.
actually welcoming a lot of people into the country. So
Exactly. So exactly, they expect different cultures to come there. They want it to be a metropolis. So definitely, they will definitely have to compromise on some things that maybe previously they didn't do.
in terms of shock, did anything shock you when you get there, when you got there, apart from maybe all the money that was there? That's in shock.
The money don't shock me. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Shock. I think maybe the weather really shocked me a bit. When I just got out of, I passed through Qatar first before going. When I got off the airport in Qatar, I almost couldn't breathe for like 30 seconds. It was so hot and dry. It was
Yeah,
crazy. So, but that's the shock because, like I said, I've lived in Turkey. So, in terms of culture and stuff, it's kind of similar. But the weather was
yeah,
crazy. But I got used to it. And mind you, I want the audience to know that Saudi is a desert climate. So it's not just hot. Winters can be colder than US or some of the coldest places. It has extreme temperatures. It doesn't
yeah.
snow, but the cold can be, you can't even laugh. It's crazy. So it's very, very hot and very, very cold. So just get ready for these two extreme weathers. I think that was a shock that I had. And yeah, they have very big buildings. I've seen a lot of car parks. I thought they were palaces, like very beautiful, big, and just for cars. It's crazy.
Yeah,
So these two things just shocked me. I don't know if you can call it cultural shock or something.
yeah, no, no, that those are very, very good stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, everybody just be ready to be shocked by the money and be shocked by the weather.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But after maybe 2 3 months, you get used to it. Look at
Yeah,
Ronaldo. He's running on the pitch playing soccer. He's used to the weather now, right?
yeah, true, true.
Yeah.
So those places are not temperature regulated, it's outside.
Inside you are, it's like you are in a cool swimming pool. There is no building I've entered that doesn't have AC.
Mhm.
That's one thing. Yeah, so all this is just outside. Inside, my goodness, you enjoy. If you like AC, then that's, you are in heaven. They have the oil, they have the petroleum to fuel the electricity.
Yeah, true.
They have ACs everywhere, so it shouldn't be an issue at all.
All right, thank you so much, Shafiq. I think this has
Thank you.
been very, very enlightening. You've given us in-depth responses. You've made us want to apply to study in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and this
Yeah,
has been
I hope
fun.
people apply. Yeah,
Yeah. So I
yeah.
think one last thing from you is kind of what kind of last words or stuff would you like to tell our listeners,
Mm.
especially those that are hoping to apply? What do you have to tell them?
This is what I always tell my people who contact me on social media and stuff. I tell them they shouldn't wait for the perfect time, really.
Mm,
Human beings, as we are, God created us, first of all, we are already sinners, so we are not perfect. So
yeah.
it means the perfect time is not there. Apply, really. Just go ahead and submit your application. Even not Saudi, other places that you think, even if you are 60, 70% qualified, send in the application. Send in as many applications as possible. Now, because of the
Mm,
competition, you cannot just confidently say, this is the school I want and I'm getting it. If you get it, good for
mm.
you, but then you should have a backup plan. So my advice and my last words are, send in that application you've been meaning to send, but one way or the other, you've been postponing it. Just send it in.
Oh, thank you so, so much. I hope everybody has heard. So send in your application. Don't wait for whatever it is you think you're waiting for.
Yes,
If
yes.
you have some of these things I've mentioned, again, we said this is kind of supposed to be
Mm.
low entry. There's low barrier,
Right,
of
exactly.
entrance. So please
Mhm.
just try. Put in your time and energy because that's all that you need for this. You don't need any money or anything. And shoot your shots. And I
Exactly.
think
That's it.
here we are rooting for you. We want you to go and enjoy and
Yeah.
study hard as well because it's not just enjoying. You study
Exactly.
hard as well.
Very hard.
Yeah. So
Thank
again,
you
thank
very
you.
much. Really. Thank you
Yeah,
for
so thank
having
you
me.
once again. So to everybody listening, we hope that this episode has been enlightening and helpful. So as Shafiq has said, apply, and we're here on Scholar Chit Chat. We keep sharing insights into different kind of opportunities. So until next time, be applying and stay